And let's talk about Midway Rising. Okay. And so Midway Rising, of course, is the name of the new development that's going to replace all of the blight at the San Diego Sports Arena site. It's not just the sports arena itself and that really big parking lot, but there are a number of other buildings that are just to the east of it that are on city property. And those are going to be blown out too. I know there's Dixie Line Lumber is there. There's a boxing gym that's there. There might even be a Goodwill that is part of that land development. And they're going to blow all that up and put in housing. And, this has gone to multiple ballots. Well, now there have been some changes in the plan. And boy, the San Diego City Council members are not happy about this. So the deal is that they've got all these different categories of housing planned for it. And the world's changed since that was approved. I mean, we've seen interest rates balloon. The economy is shifting a bit. Excuse me. And finally, they discovered this huge sewer line underground that they didn't know about, which is incredible to me. So anyways, they've decided to take some of these, some of these housing projects off the table. They even are taking a 200-room hotel off the table as well. And 250 units for residential units for middle income housing. And people are freaking out about this at the city council level. According to Marnie Van Wilbert, Marnie Von Wilbert, who is the representative that's right next door here. She covers Penasquitos and Rancho Bernardo. And she said, "You're telling us that this venture that has two billionaires at the helm, who between them own 4 or 5 national sports franchises, can't figure out how to build 250 middle-income housing units for us? We have a homelessness crisis. We have an affordability crisis. We picked your team because we believed in you. You have billionaires at the helm. Please figure this out and put the 250 units back in and help us get what we deserve from our property." What do you think of this? This to me is incredible. Hey, first of all, yeah, there are 2 billionaires, and that's who's on the screen there. Stan Kroenke, who is the owner of the LA Rams, and he also owns the Colorado Avalanche and the Denver Nuggets in the NBA and the NHL. And then another partner of his is Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, because he's going to be involved in this project as well. I think Stan Kroenke has about a 90% share of this, because when he bought in, sports fans in San Diego were all excited. Hey, maybe we'll get an NBA team or an NHL team. But it's interesting how that just because they're billionaires, that means that they need to sacrifice themselves to serve the needs of other people. I mean, to me, this is ridiculous coming from Marnie Von Wilbert's position here, because these are business people, and what they're trying to do is what's best for them. And yeah, they had an agreement that they signed, and apparently, there's low income and mid income, which I'm going to define in a minute. But the low income portion of this is locked in, and it's not negotiable. But the middle income and the hotel is. I mean, it's not something that has to go to a vote. And what was interesting is that Penny Moss, who is the San Diego Real Estate Department head or manager, she said those scrapped elements, the middle income housing and the hotel, are not required. And she didn't really seem all that unfazed by it. But the council, boy, they were angry because, the council are driven by political outcomes, not necessarily what's best from a business perspective. And then in the quote, it's funny how she said, Marnie Von Wilbert said, "You have billionaires at the helm. Please figure this out and put the 250 units back in and, quote, help us get what we deserve for our property." I'm sorry, you don't deserve that. I mean, yeah, that was part of the negotiation, but it wasn't the part that was locked in contractually. So you're getting, the city of San Diego, you're getting what you deserve from this contract, from this project, because these private developers are buying the land from the city. And you've already pre-negotiated certain elements of this are locked in. So this plan, the city of San Diego, Marty von Wilbert, you're already going to be getting what you deserve. Now, you wanted some bonus things that they were hoping to include, but business and these kinds of projects shift and change. I mean, this is so similar, in my opinion, to what's going on here in my hometown of Poway with the farm project and the evolution there, and a lot of the voters being really angry. Unlike the Poway project, this one had certain elements locked in and other elements were not locked in. Here in Poway, we have a development called the Farm where they're putting in housing, and they are switching gears. They're getting rid of tennis courts and putting in pickleball courts. That makes sense. I mean, the world has changed in some of these recreational activities. But the owner of the lead spokesman of the project, Kevin McNamara, wants to put in a really big, what is it called? Fitness Elite, I think it's called, or is it Elite Fitness? Wants to put that in a big workout gym that's outside the scope of what was originally approved by voters. And people here are really upset about that. But in this case, they're in the San Diego Sports Arena, Midway Housing, they are going to follow through on the commitment to give the voters what they promised. Now, let's break this down about what we mean by mid-income and low income. So this project includes 2,000 affordable units. Now, affordable housing is what people usually are clamoring about. And this will go to people for families making 80% or less of the area median income. And these are deed restricted, which means locked in. That means that those parcels of land can only be used for people that make 80% or less of the median income in the area. Now, the middle income tier, which is the part that they've decided to take off the table, this is for units this includes units for families that earn between 80 and 120% of the median income in the area. And oh, by the way, I think they're saying that when they did the survey, the median income in the area, I think from a household perspective, is $87,000. So the low income places are going to be retained, which will be mostly households earning, what would that be? Probably less than about 70,000. And those that are earning between 70,000 and what would it be? Maybe about 110,000 or so would be in the middle income. And those are the ones that they're not going to commit to that. Now, what do you think of this? Do you think the voters of San Diego are getting screwed over by this? What's your thoughts? Now, obviously, things have changed in the world of real estate. The interest rate for mortgages is what, like 7%, at least 6%. I think I've seen some cases it's as high as 7%. And that makes a huge difference on how you finance these properties, how you finance the development. And then, of course, when these homeowners come in, how much of a house they can afford. I mean, it makes a huge difference on the payment. And it's shifted and it's changed some of the economic model. Now, it is interesting, as an aside, that you might be saying, well, why are interest rates so high? Well, the reason interest rates are so high is because inflation grew so dramatically. They've had to increase interest rates to attempt to cool off the economy. And why did inflation balloon? Well, that's because the federal government and the state government's response to the COVID pandemic, where they printed $6 trillion and just spread it throughout the economy, totally devaluing the dollar and also shutting down elements of our economy that restricted production. And when you added those two up, that caused prices to go up. And so it's interesting, though, how it's a government caused problem, the inflation. And then the government or the quasi-government agency, the Federal Reserve, responds by increasing interest rates, which then create greater expenses for homeowners or for people that are buying homes. And now it's having this cascading effect on this particular project. This is fascinating to me. Now, according to Vivian Moreno, who's another one of the council members, she was also upset. And she said, "This is an extremely important project to ensure that we are building housing that people in the middle income categories, like teachers, firefighters, police officers, and others, can realistically have access to. And I feel that we are leaving them behind with this project." Um, isn't it funny how when they always bring up these woe-begotten, hardworking people, whether they're teachers or firefighters or police officers, they always evoke these people that are government workers that are supposedly working for the common good, you know, and they're the ones that are going to have to sacrifice. And we need to do what we can for the common good. And these workers represent the common good, and they just keep pulling on that, lever. But that's because we have Democrats that are leading the city council in San Diego. I think 8 of the 9, if not all of them, are Democrats. And they go back to a lot of these sort of socialist ideas that we have to protect the little guy. We got to protect the common good. But the reality is that what exists at the sports arena now is a disaster. It's not good for the common good in the first place. I mean, I go down there quite a bit because I have a client that's right near the sports arena. And that area it is blight. I mean, there's homelessness there. There's a lot of trash and a lot of, like soiled clothing from the homeless people that are there. The pavement on the sports arena lot is a disaster. I mean, it's just loaded with potholes. The sports arena itself is a dump. I remember reading about the 1975 NCAA championship. It was UCLA and John Wooden's last year. And he was complaining that the sports arena was a dump then in 1975. And here we are almost 50 years later. So this whole project, when it's upgraded, is going to be just fine. Now, according to another councilperson, Jennifer Campbell, she said, "We have to realize that when you build something, anything, no matter what it's on, a half an acre or 48.5 acres, you run into stuff you didn't expect. This is a blighted neighborhood that needs to be upgraded. And it will be beautiful. It will be pleasant to live in. It's okay. We're going to be all right." And I think she's right. This is going to work out fine. I don't know if they're going to replace the was it 250 or was it 2,500 homes, did I say, that are going to be in the middle income. I think it's 2,500. So I'm guessing those are just going to be replaced by market rate housing. So there won't be any subsidies. There won't be any restrictions on who or can't live in there, who is qualified to live. They're still going to be building all this housing because there's such huge demand for it. But they did also encounter something really unusual. They discovered this 96-inch, which is like 8 feet wide, sewer pipe that wasn't in the original drawings. And apparently they can't build on that. And they've got to have that as open space. And so that's making them move the hotel, which was going to be where that sewer pipe is. And so they've had to make some revisions. So what do you think with this project? I am personally very excited about this project for a number of reasons. One, we have a housing crisis. We need more housing. Number two, that area is blighted. That area could really use an upgrade, whether it be for housing or for the sports arena. But that whole area just needs to be just cleansed. And that's going to happen. And then I'm hopeful that the new arena, which will be a great asset to the San Diego community, whether it's for sports or concerts and other forms of entertainment, there's an outside shot. We might be in the position to get an NBA or an NHL team. And to me, that's really exciting too. I'm generally a big thumbs up on this project. And they're also going to, build these. They're going to be higher than the 35-foot limit. And that was part of the deal that the voters approved. Okay.